I started my own company with $100 in my pocket. Software development, created an inventory management accounting program. Became very successful. The program was picked up by a lot of military organizations, school boards, universities, medical, many different industries because it was so versatile. I just saw a niche market, took it, and ran with it. So software development for sure. I got to a point where I really didn't worry about money. Found out my ex was embezzling from the company and secretly pocketing a lot of money, and went through a nasty divorce. I ended up basically with all the debt, very little from the assets. And what I did get, I had ended up getting taken from me off the streets, extorted, I guess you would say. I've been on the streets now for a while, just a little while. But it's floating from friends to friends for a while.
Yeah.
In Abbotsford. And one day I was clubbed over the head, and I woke up on the sidewalk out in Langley and had no memory. Didn't come back for a couple of weeks. If it wasn't for the help of a couple of homeless people, I would have frozen to death. It was about a month and a half ago. I did ask people in the park for help to call the emergency hotline for the shelters, and they all looked at me like I was a bum and said, "Why don't you do some more drugs? Why don't you do some more drugs? Go in the corner, do some more drugs." They were all joking. All the adults with their kids were joking, looking at me, because I was confused. I didn't even know who I was. Fortunately, these two homeless people helped me out. They covered me up, kept me warm, and I've been on the streets ever since. The community has quite a stigma about homeless people. They assume we choose this way. I've tried to get housing. I've tried the shelters, and there's no beds available. I've gone to the emergency shelters, and you have to be in by 7 and out by 7 in the morning. One day I went there at 12 o'clock in the afternoon asking for a tissue because my nose was running, and they said, "Get the hell off the property. You're not supposed to be back till 7. So what are you supposed to do from 7 to 7? Holding all of your belongings, because you have to hold your belongings, otherwise they go missing. Everything gets stolen from you. Like right now, I'm sitting on my belongings. It's terrifying. You have to scrounge for food. You have to scrounge for clothes just to survive. You know, I went from, and also social assistance. There's very little help. People assume there is, but there isn't. You know, they give you $500. $500 for shelter. $500 for food. Yeah. People look at us and they shun us and they treat us like garbage. You know, the stores are closed. Everything's closed. McDonald's, gas stations, they close their doors at 10 o'clock. What is a homeless person supposed to go? Right? Yeah. If the shelters are full.
Yep.
You know, we have to use tarps and tents and candles to keep ourselves warm. Now it's not so bad, but a month and a half ago it was freaking cold.
Yeah.
Survival is very difficult. And we use a lot of trade. Like I'd trade a bag of potato chips, or trade a chocolate bar for something else we need, perhaps a candle. You know, there's a lot of trade between the homeless people. But it would certainly help if there was more housing available, more tents, more just a place where we could put our stuff and not have to worry about it being stolen, because then we could put our stuff away and perhaps get a job and, you know, reset. We don't have that opportunity. I've applied at the shelters for, the gateway for the second level. And they have rules, no drinking, no drugs. I'm fine with that. They didn't like the looks of me, right? I wasn't approved. You apply for tenancy. Well, they look at you. Well, we're living on the street, so obviously we're disshuffled. What about showers? What do you think we do for showers? We have, every Wednesday, Lookout has a shower, or right next to Lookout.
Yeah, right. Once a week.
Once a week. At Gateway, the same thing. That's pretty disgusting, right?
Yeah.
They lock the doors to all the bathrooms and everything at 10, so what are we supposed to do? Where are we supposed to go?
Mm-hmm.
I was stranded in Surrey once, late at night. I missed my last bus. My God, it was cold. And you know what the security guy that I bumped into said? My options are go to the hospital and stay there, or go to the underground parking lot under Super Save, or Save on Foods.
Save on Foods, okay.
Those are the two warmest places available.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty
you wonder why people are, in the corners of the parking lots and what have you. You have no choice. They're cuddling to stay warm, right?
Yep.
Shelter is very, very important. And it's almost impossible to achieve. Unless you are, like you have kids and what have you, co-op housing and what have you, or, low-income housing, it's really not available to people like me. There's a big lineup. So what do I do?
Your kids are growing up, right? Are they?
Kids are growing up.
Yeah.
They don't want to see me like this. They don't want to. They don't even, it's terrible. They saw their father go from poor to rich to disgustingly poor and on the streets. Why? Because of a terrible divorce, terrible situation, terrible system.
Yeah.
I had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
People understood why people are on the streets. Perhaps asked, hey, what can we do for you? I bet you 90% of the time it's going to be, give us a warm place to stay.
Yeah.
A safe place to stay.
Safe place.
How about food? Food, that's another thing. There's these services out here. They're great services. They offer all this food every Wednesday. Fantastic. I see everyone just grabbing a bunch of food. But if you think about it, if they don't have a place to put it, what do you think happens? Well, they trade it. They trade it for merchandise. They trade it for blankets. They trade it for clothes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't eat it all. It's either that or it goes to waste.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, no, it's...
Food's important, yes, but shelter is most important.
Yeah.
Safe shelter.
Yeah.
There are in the emergency shelters, people always get their belongings stolen. And if you don't hold on to them, it disappears. They're not responsible for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You were telling me the other day about bylaws, and I think it was you.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a bit?
You set up a tent on Crown land, out of the public eye, and somebody sees you going back and forth several times, they complain. Bylaw comes down and kicks you out. Well, where are we supposed to live?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Drugs. Huh. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Whether it be marijuana, whether it be cocaine, whether it be whatever the drug of choice,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people like doing it privately. But it's almost impossible when people are looking through the shrubs and saying, hey, what's that guy doing over there? They're pushing us away. They're pushing us out into the public eye, onto the streets, onto the curbs, to do it on the curbs. We're just so fed up of being chased out of the bush.
Yeah.
Where else do you want us to go? You know, when I first arrived, shoot, I went into a ravine. A lady pulled up and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm staying here for the night." "No, you're not." She said, "This is private property." I said, "No, it's not. It's public." And they turned on all the floodlights, chased me out down a trail, and they kept on honking their horns. Then they finally sent their dogs out. If it wasn't for the two homeless people that helped me out, and we just set up camp right in the park,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would happen to me.
Mm.
You know, the community, they've got this terrible opinion of us,
Yeah.
where we're all vicious, evil people. We're not. We're just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? If you don't have a job, how do you survive? Trade.
Yep. No, that's enlightening. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Yeah.
There's more to tell. There's a lot more to tell.
Let me ask a
You
few
know,
more questions.
It's a lot harder to be homeless than it is to have
Yeah.
a home and work.
Right.
You have to work.
You do. Yeah. Can I ask you a question about your siblings? Do you have siblings?
I do.
Are they alive?
Yeah, mid-30s.
Do you have any relationship with them at the moment?
Not since I hit the streets.
Not since you had a choice, yeah.
Okay, they're very successful. And
Mm-hmm.
One's got a daughter. Do you think he wants his daughter to see his homeless dad?
Mm.
Come on. It's shameful.
But it's not. It's sad that they would shun you for being just having bad luck with
Oh,
life, right? Like,
it's not just bad luck. See, I was poisoned. I was stabbed. I was left for dead. My dog was taken. My home was taken. My life was taken. My businesses were destroyed. I had everything ripped apart that I had built really hard for.
yeah.
So it really messed with me mentally.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's hard for them to understand how their father, who was able to achieve so much, was knocked down so far and can't get back up. Well, because mentally I can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't. Every time I take 2 steps forward, I get kicked right back to the curb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I actually found a place to go to live, cohabitate with another tenant.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to bring me on under sublet. I was just moving in. 3 days later, he comes to me, "I've got bad news. I'm not allowed to sublet."
Mm.
And I was pushed back on the street again. That sort of thing happens all the time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Waiting for that left shoe to drop.
Mm. Is there anything that you would like people to you shared some very poignant, important things, but like when someone sees you or anybody, your friends that you know on the streets, what would you like them to first react or to do?
Well, don't ignore me. Don't shun me. Ask, what can I do to help? Mhm.
Yeah.
One night of shelter, one night in a hotel, one night makes a huge difference. How about helping me find housing,
Yeah.
right? Maybe put 4 of us together in one house, right? With different entrances or what have you, a fourplex or whatever, I don't know. But get us off the streets
Yeah. Yeah.
and eliminate this problem. We
Yeah.
need housing badly.
Yeah.
People are dying every night from the cold, from being too close to the tracks. Crime. We're struggling to survive. Some people kill each other. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Like, it's terrible out here. Here you can't trust anyone on the streets. You're always looking over your shoulder. You're always scared to go to sleep.
I have a question. Now, this is a hard question. We can cut it if it doesn't work. But if it's difficult for you to trust people on the streets, like what can people do in the community that like I trust you, Shell. Well, sorry, I'm not gonna say your name. Cut that. But like I trust you to a certain degree too. Like, I mean, there is also trust that needs to be built. Like, how can people develop trust with people, and so that they can actually confidently invite them into a place that they call home? What do you have a thought in that? It's a hard question.
Well, get involved in their lives, get to know them, understand them. Trust is earned, yes.
Yeah.
Myself, I was raised to morally to trust everybody initially, and that's made me very naive and very easy to take advantage of. And that's how I lost whatever money I had out of my divorce. I trusted people, and they took advantage of me. You know,
Yeah.
talk to the people. Don't ignore them.
Yeah.
You ignore the homeless, or you shun them, or you treat them like garbage. You'll never have a chance to build a relationship. You know, with or without money. I've always been the type of person that if I saw somebody on the street, I'd say hi. And, you know, what can I do for you? How are you doing? Like, can I offer you something? Do you need something?
Yeah.
You know?
I can see that.
Like food, for example.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten for 2 days. Why? Because I was so cold and stressed yesterday. I just stayed in the tent. So that helps a lot. You know, $20, $50, $100, or gift cards, or a Tim's card every morning.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference. Trust.
Yeah.
You know what?
Gift cards are helpful.
I treat people the way they treat me, right? So how about treating us with a little respect, and we'll treat you with a little respect. But keep shunning us and treating us like garbage and yelling on us, mocking us, honking your horns at us, treating us like garbage. Well, guess what? We treat people the way we're treated, right?
Yeah, it can happen.
It can blow back on people.
Yeah. There needs to be a two-way relationship. It's not one way.
You know, well, quite frankly, when I asked 3 adults in a park with children during the middle of the day where I was freezing cold, shivering, to call the emergency hotline for me, because I didn't have a phone. I had it stolen. I had my wallet stolen. I had everything taken from me. And their response, all 3 of them, were, why don't you go do some more drugs? Go away. We're too busy. Leave us alone. We don't like your kind here. That was my welcome to Langley. Whatever happened to kindness, love, respect, honor, integrity?
Yeah.
Where's the integrity in that?
Yeah.
They should be ashamed of themselves. For if it wasn't for the homeless, I would be dead by now.
Yeah. Well, that's enlightening. Thank you. One final question I want to ask. This is also an optional one. Where have you found hope for living? What gives you hope on a day-to-day basis? Could be anything from just community, friends, to hope in a religion, in a God that you understand, or anything in between.
There was only one time I ever had, and have, just a little bit of light. And it's still there, because every other time it's been ripped from under me. Like, you know, when I had the place.
Yeah.
You know, when I had a place to live, shoot, I was looking for work. I was as happy as can be, but that was ripped from under me. Right now, it would be the opportunity to share my story and the opportunity to make a difference, and hoping that somehow through this, I can achieve housing for myself and
Yeah.
my, the person I'm tenting with right now, and
Yeah.
perhaps others as well.
Yeah.
There's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
You give me a glimmer of hope. And you have helped. Last week you helped me. You helped me a lot. I was having a really hard time. I was able to buy sleeping bags for 3 people. I got my social assistance check. You know what I did with it? I rented a hotel for 2 days and I took 3 people off the streets. We stayed in a hotel.
Yeah.
On the 3rd day,
That's generous.
one of them walked into the hotel. It was a days in.
Yeah.
And I got a call up in my room saying, we don't like the looks of that type of people. You're going to have to leave. They did not like homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
And they treated them with disrespect, and I got kicked out because of it. That was how I spent my welfare check.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind to people. Don't be so mean. Don't be evil. Don't shun people. You see somebody hurting, help them. Last week when you and I were walking down the street around the bus loop, for example, there was a guy, he was in pain at the bus loop in Langley, in pain, screaming for help on the ground because his leg gave out. Did anybody help? Yeah, transit police were walking by them, transit drivers were walking by them, pedestrians were walking by, totally ignoring them. Who helped him? You did, and I did. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the woman that was with us.
The fellow, yeah, it was a woman, yeah.
Yeah. We helped him out.
Yeah.
We picked him up off the ground. We put him next to the building. We made sure he was comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You covered him up. Did anybody else give a damn? No. How about caring? Show a little compassion for the people that are out in the streets. They're not all out there by their own choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe then you'll get the respect that perhaps you feel you're not getting.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love thy neighbor, right?